How many times have you got to the start of the year and said, I'm going to try and hit this savings goal this year? Or you get to the end of the month, you get your payday and you say, I'm going to save X amount out of my paycheck, but you feel like you're making no progress. You feel like you just can't get there. Know that you are not alone. Today's video is going to be all about finding ways to trick your brain into saving more money. Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Laura Anmore and I post videos all about money, mindset and motivation to help you understand your finances, to feel empowered by money and get you living your best life. I recently read a piece of research from a company called Raisin who looked into savings for people in the UK of different age groups. People aged 18 to 24, 50% of them had less than £1,000 in savings. And people aged 25 to 34, 42% of them had less than £1,000 in savings. Now, the thing for us to bear in mind is that our brains like comfort. It likes repeating the same patterns because it makes it feel safe. It's what it's used to, which is how bad and good habits are formed. So if you're in a habit of not being able to save, of dipping back into your savings, or of struggling with saving money, then your brain is going to be really used to that and will keep repeating those patterns. So you have to break the cycle. And the best place to start is with the easy wins, where you can make small changes that kind of trick your brain into saving more. Number one is automate your savings. I think automating your savings is game changing because essentially what you do is set up an automatic transfer for the day that you get paid to move a set amount of money into your savings account. You don't even have to touch it, you don't have to see it, you don't have to be involved, it just does it automatically for you. That stops you being involved and going, oh, maybe I'll move my savings later, or I'll sort it out tomorrow, and then that day passes. It just does it straight away for you. Number two is put obstacles in the way of you dipping into your savings. So either set up a fixed term savings account, which is where you have to put your money in there and it is locked away for 1, 2, 3 years. Usually you get a little bit higher interest and you can't access the money, and then that way you have no option to even dip into it. Or if you don't want the money to be locked away, just set up a savings account where you don't then download and set up the online banking. Because if it's not on your phone, ready to just move money between accounts, then you're less likely to dip into your savings. Number three is name your savings accounts. So if you do have direct access to them, say it's a savings account that you have with your bank, name them the thing that you're saving for. So if you're saving for a big trip to Bali, title it the Bali Fund. If you're saving it for something really fun and exciting, when you label it that, if you go in and you go to move money out of it, you'll be like, oh, this £50 that I'm moving could be £50 that I spend in Bali sipping cocktails on the beach, and it adds that emotion and you will be less likely to dip into it for things that you don't really need. Number four is about waiting to buy. So if you're going to buy something that wasn't in the budget and it's an impulse purchase, before you buy it, give yourself at least 24 hours before you make that purchase. And if you can wait a few days, even better. When you give yourself a chance to stop, reassess, to sleep on it, you're less likely to go back the next day and make that purchase. So you're just putting a blocker in between making those impulse purchases and spending money that you don't actually want to spend. In the book that I read, Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about how we get a dopamine hit, like a little rush of excitement when we buy something. But the fulfillment actually comes from the anticipation of buying something, not the actual item itself. So when we get all excited about shopping, it's when we're shopping and we're spending money, it's not actually about the item that turns up. So when you stop and give yourself a bit of gap between that, you can find other ways to try and get that dopamine hit that doesn't have to include you sabotaging yourself and dipping into your savings. Number five is do not put yourself in the position where you have to use your willpower. If you feel you don't have the tools and the coping mechanisms in place to be able to stop yourself at the end from making a purchase, where I've just said about trying to wait at least 24 hours, then go one step before that. Don't even let yourself get to that stage where you're adding stuff into your cart and getting to the checkout page, because then you're relying on your willpower to stop you. For example, if you know you're a sucker for online shopping and buying clothes, delete the apps off of your phone. Don't have ASOS or Amazon sat on your phone, easy to browse. And also take off your card details from your phone. Because if it's not in front of you, you're way less likely to sit there and scroll and end up spending a bunch of money that you hadn't actually planned to. Number 6 is about using cash over credit. It's a little bit hard at the moment because places aren't taking cash as much. But there's something about the brain that when you're using cash and you're having to physically hand over cash instead of using a credit card or a debit card, you really feel the impact of spending that money and you'll be less likely to spend. And that is why the envelope budgeting method is so good for some people. Essentially, when you get paid, get all your money out in cash based on your budget and you put it all into envelopes titled different things. So my food shopping, this is my budget this month for clothes, this is my budget this month for X, Y, and Z, and you spend out of those envelopes in cash. That method might not work for you, but using cash is a great way for our brains to realise how much we're actually spending and it will want to spend less. Now there's this theory called Diderot's theory where you often decide what you want to do based on what you have just done. And this is why once you've made one purchase, it is so easy to carry on and make another. You fall down a spending rabbit hole because once you've done one, you're like, what's another purchase? What's another £10? Another £50? No behaviour happens in isolation because each action becomes a cue that triggers your next behaviour. This can go both negatively and positively, so use it to your advantage to start to cultivate good saving habits. Now, number 7 is about paying yourself first. If you get paid and you tell yourself you're going to save what's left over, chances are you're not going to have much left over because your brain is going to spend what it has. It doesn't want to do the mental maths every time it looks in the bank account to figure out what needs to be saved, what needs to be spent. So what you need to do is you get paid, you work out your budget, you decide that month how much you want to save, that goes on payday, ideally in an automatic transfer, and then you spend what is left over. And you can find ways to cope with the money that you have left over. Don't leave yourself too short because that's when you end up dipping into your savings because you haven't left yourself enough to spend. But by paying yourself first, which is what I do every month and have done since I was 18, 19, that means that I've been able to save more. Now, those are some of my top tips in ways that you can start to trick your brain into saving more money. Some of them might work for you, some of them might not, but just give them a go and see what sticks. And to add on to the end to that as a little mindset hack, start to notice the way that you're talking about saving. If you're constantly saving, I can't save money, I've never been able to save money, then your brain will start to find ways to reinforce that. Start to change your language to just make little changes such as I'm learning to save money, or say I am good at saving money, and pair it with getting into the habit of just putting aside £10 a month. It's more important to get started on the habit and to reinforce your language and your mind so that you convince yourself, I am good at saving money, and then you'll get better at it over time. Now, hopefully some of those tips have helped you. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it has helped and I can't wait to hear about your savings wins. If you like this video and you want to see more, I'd love it if you hit the subscribe button. I would be very, very grateful, and I look forward to the next video.